Do you yearn for the good old days? You know, when children were free to work in the coal mines, where you had the freedom to go outdoors and die of cholera, or the freedom to stay indoors and die of tuberculosis. If you like the sound of that, then great news, the game Victoria Free just got an update and it no longer sucks. The developers unfortunately made the mistake of sending me early access to the build, you know, to help them find bugs, and well, yeah, I found some things. Anyway, today I want to discover if Victoria Free is a perfectly balanced, realistic simulation of the Victorian era, or if perhaps the game can be broken by just thinking outside of the box. Now, as we are breaking the sanctity of the game, it feels fitting to play as the Papal States, the independent nation ruled by the Pope in central Italy. As a beacon of divine magnificence, we are a trusted and respected nation diplomatically, but we have a weak economy and army, meaning we can't dominate the world. However, that perceived weakness will become our strength, as today, ladies and gentlemen, we play as the Victorian Scam Pope. So grab yourselves a nice warm cup of Yorkshire tea, give the video a like, and comment that you yearn for the mines. Now, let the fun begin. So, welcome into the world of Victoria Free, ladies and gentlemen. Look, it's the world map, but not as you know it. For the year is 1836, and the United States doesn't even have California yet. This is a very spicy time in history, because it's the period where Great Britain decided to conquer everything that moved. Now, normally the only way to survive in this world is to play one of the big players. However, I love a spicy Mimi challenge, and so that's why today we'll be playing as the Papal States, led by Pope Gregorius here. The Papal States is an Italian minor power. We start with a GDP of 1 million, which whilst it might sound good, it's basically 1/15 of Austria to our north. Our population? Oh yes, that's also tiny. But that's not going to stop me. I'm going to take the Papal States from their pathetic current starting point and make them incredible. So yes, we start out the game with a few very important things. Mostly we have the city of Rome. Check it out, it's got the Vatican City all beautifully modeled in. Now the region of Lazio might seem pretty good, but it's actually really quite pathetic. It produces only £400,000 in GDP, which for a capital region just isn't very good at all. We're also surrounded by significantly more powerful nations. Two Sicilies down to our south has an absolutely massive military that could wipe us out. The same goes for Austria, France, and Great Britain. If any of them simply wake up one day and decide that they don't like us existing, then we just cease existing. This is unfortunately the average daily life of a Victorian country. We do start with a small army ourselves, as well as a navy, but I'm going to immediately disband it all. Yep, we don't need any of that. Navies cost money, and quite frankly, we don't have enough money. We only make £3,000 per week, which is truly terrible. We're going to be starting out today in Rome. The way the economy works in this game is incredibly complicated, but it's actually rather simple when you think about it. Every single person on the planet is simulated. So yes, let's look at our own population. We can see in our capital region, we have over 1 million peasants, most of whom are struggling. They spend almost all of their wealth on grain, wine, clothes, wood, and chairs. Now, of course, logically, we can improve the lives of our peoples by simply lowering the cost of some of those goods. I can see that wheat is actually quite expensive. So you might say, well, logically, Spiff, what you should do is go and build yourself a brand new wheat farm. And yes, you're right, that would lower the cost of grain in Rome. However, it would also mean the people of Rome get employed, and those people would be working as basic farmers and laborers. Not exactly the best paid job in the world. I want to turn Rome into an economical metropolis, and so where I can help it, no, I don't intend to conscript 1 million peasants into the wheat fields. Still, if clothes are incredibly expensive in our local market, we can build a manufacturing textiles mill. That will allow us to turn fabric into clothes, and so in order to set us up for that, I'm going to be building these cotton plantations. Fantastic, lovely. Now we start out the game with a total GDP of 1 million and a GDP per capita of 42 pence. It is genuinely pathetic. When it comes to the world rankings, we are 34th in the world for GDP, and I'm hoping that by the end of this video, our Rome will be so much more powerful. Oh, and a lovely legendary historic event has happened. Great Qing, in an effort to stop the ongoing opium crisis, has decided to ban opium. Oh, you fools. Great Britain, of course, is not happy with that. No. Britain wants you to eat your opium, and you're going to enjoy it. So what that probably means is as soon as Britain finishes up invading Vietnam, they're going to immediately declare war and invade China. Now, when it comes to actually growing the economy with buildings, you're going to need construction for that. You start out the game with a base of 10 construction, and you can build construction sectors to get more building completed. The only problem is they cost a ridiculous amount of money. This alone says it would cost us £3,000 £10 per week. So yes, it would take us from actually turning a profit as a nation to not having any money at all. And unlike the modern world we live in, trust me, you don't want to be running a debt-based economy. Now in total it's going to take us 20 weeks to construct this cotton plantation, which is crazy. That's a huge amount of time. But unfortunately this is our only way of building. We just can't afford a new construction sector. Oh, we've now engaged diplomacy with China. Yes, this is because I've decided to declare an interest in the Chinese region. My logic being that Britain is going to invade soon and I can probably make some money out of it. And so here we finally are. After 10 full weeks of construction, the cotton plantation has been built. We can now see that it's going to start employing people. A total of 5,000 people will be employed, and then they'll be paid a nice actual salary, which is pretty cool. And here we go, the first few workers are arriving. In total, 50 people have been picked up and they're going to start producing fabric. This fabric is actually not really worth anything because whilst our population does consume a small amount of fabric, we're not actually producing anything with it. Now, fortunately for us, we have a few solutions when it comes to getting rid of all of this fabric. We can start trading it away. Yes, by building these little trade centers, we can start importing and exporting goods naturally to balance out our market supply. This means our trade center will, for example, import incredibly expensive furniture that in our local market costs £52, but in the world market is only 38. This makes the lives of our population significantly more comfortable. And so there we go. With the trade center built, the fundamental base practices of Victoria Free have now been explained by me. You can see how this economy is meant to work. You can see how the game is meant to work. You're meant to balance your production, change your supply lines and the global economy, whilst also keeping an eye on the diplomatic side of things. So yes, that's the way the developers want you to play the game. But I'm not playing the game normally. No, I am the Pope. I am the Supreme Pontiff and Bishop of Rome. You cannot stop me. If I want something, I will be having it. I will not be satisfied with a paltry £1 million of GDP. No, I will be turning the Papal States into a nation of gold, and it will be glorious. So yes, how on earth are we going to do that? Well, we need to fix our construction issue. And as I said earlier, construction sectors are unfortunately a little bit of a double-edged sword, because by building this one, whilst it will increase my overall construction speed from 10 to 12, it's going to do so at a very high cost. Now we can currently take a look at what our trade center is doing. We're now actively importing several goods. We're bringing in luxury clothes, we're bringing in small arms, we're bringing in some boats, and oh yes, some fancy luxury furniture. Very nice indeed. And there it is. We are now actually exporting the fabric we're producing. This is very good as it will drive up the price of fabric in our local market, meaning our cotton plantation will start to actually turn more and more of a profit. But yes, I'm not satisfied with our current rate of construction. It needs to be significantly higher. And so that is why in my capital city, I'm now trying to build 4 brand new construction sectors. Okay, I've built our first construction sector. Here it is. As we can see, currently this is only costing us £20 per week, but it's going to rapidly go up as more and more people become employed by it. But at the same time, it's also going to be increasing the rate at which we can construct things. Already we're up to a 10.2 construction speed. There we go. That's pretty nice. And because we actually have some spare construction, you'll notice that we're not the only people constructing in our nation anymore. No, there's also private investors. Yes, some rich aristocrats from the capital have decided they'd like to build a brand new vineyard. And so that's exactly what they're going to do. Now already the GDP is looking a little bit better. We're up to 1.2 million GDP. Very nice. And our GDP per capita has increased by a few pennies. So yeah, woo! I'm sure our peasants can really feel the trickle-down economics slapping them in the face. Although I have noticed that yes, our budgetary surplus is now gone. We are now losing money. And that's a real shame because I like money. And where's it all going? Well, it's quite simple actually. It's all going into our construction sectors. Yes, just 2 of these bad boys is already costing us over £5,000 per week. Yes, it is allowing us to construct things even faster, but what's the point of that when I'm going to end up with absolutely no money and have to declare bankruptcy? Well, luckily for me, I have a little bit of a solution to get myself out of this predicament. We're going to go down to the 2 Sicilies here and we're going to sign a brand new treaty. This is going to be known as the Concordat between the Holy See and 2 Sicilies. Or actually, no, we're going to rename it as Scam Treaty 1. Perfect. Okay, and so this is the deal we're going for. It's Scam Treaty 1. We're agreeing with the 2 Sicilies that for the next 25 years, I'm not going to put any tariffs on grain, fish, or meat. And at the same time, I'm committed to censorship, and in return, I'll be getting all of their money, a guarantee of military assistance, and I'm even throwing in an obligation to sweeten the deal. So there we go. With a 100% success chance of passing, they're going to accept this. But I suppose I can probably also nab a few extra things whilst I'm here. Can I ask for some grain? Yes, give me 10 grain. Why not? You know, we could even throw in an alliance. Ooh, that could be good fun. Why not? And so we send that off. The AI takes one look at that deal and goes, wow, what an amazing deal. I'm going to have to sign it. And would you look at that? We're now making a lot of money. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Now, before you feel bad about what I've done to the two Sicilies, look, they're a larger power than me. They've got 4 times the size of my economy. I'm the underdog in this situation, and so you should be supporting me, the Pope. Still, yes, I'm now being handed a ridiculous amount of money, and this massive stack of money that's been given to me, oh well, it's just being directly turned into brand new construction sectors. Now here's the thing though, when you think outside of the box with a strategy like this, you can of course take it to the next level. That's why I'm going to be trying to convince the lovely superpower of Sardinia Piedmont to give me Sardinia. So this is going to be our next treaty. This one is with Sardinia Piedmont. I'm asking for the entire region of Sardinia. In return, they'll give me military assistance, and I'm promising basically no tariffs on any of their goods. And of course, to maintain my strong love of censorship. Yes, it's wonderful. Now I'm just going to give this one a binding period of 5 years. It's not going to last very long, but that's fine because hey, I'm getting control of a state. Now it was only a 72% chance of success, but yeah, that's enough, as we've now just gained control of the region of Sardinia. So yes, some new population added into our market, and most importantly, all of our fancy new construction sectors are being paid for by someone else. Yes, this is what I like to see. Now already I've got the option here to propose a new treaty with the two Sicilies, and that's to take on their debt. Yes, we can already see that they are currently in a debt of £200,000, and that is unfortunately only going to get worse. But I don't care because I'm getting money from them, and that's fantastic. Oh, now I've got some exciting news. Sardinia Piedmont has broken Scamland 1. They've broken our treaty, and that's actually really bad for them. The reason the AI broke it was because they couldn't really see a way that they could maintain this treaty, which is a shame because they gave me a fresh plot of land. Now the negatives for them of breaking it is that it generates a huge amount of infamy, which means that people generally like them a fair bit less. They do currently really dislike me. They're holding on to major hostile relations. I imagine that's probably because I control their land. Well, it's okay. I've got a solution for this, Sardinia Piedmont. How about instead of land, I'm just going to offer you basically the exact same deal as we previously had, but this time you're going to give me £7,000 per month. So I'm just going to be calling this treaty the Holy Tithe. Thank you very much, Sardinia Piedmont. Your additional funds will be greatly appreciated. Now, of course, as I did offer them such a great offer, they are going to accept. I mean, it is genuinely perfect. No tariffs on any liquor, grain, or meats. Of course you're going to give me £7,000. Why wouldn't you? And with that money, well, our economy is now rocketing. We're up to £2 million of GDP. And Sardinia Piedmont has immediately began embargoing me. That's how much they hate me. Do you have any idea how stupid it is that we now have tariff-free trade, but you're embargoing me so that way we can't trade? You utter fool. Now, let's have a check-in with the two Sicilies. How's their debt doing? Okay, their debt is now up to 658,000. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's not looking good. And Sardinia Piedmont, have you got debt? Oh, of course you do. You do. You've got £200,000 worth of debt now. Well, that's very good. The fact that they have debt means that they can't actually go to war with us. The AI simply won't let them. Welcome back, ladies and gents. I have been manipulating and testing the limits of the AI, and now His Holiness the Pope has used this learning to form this treaty with France. In this treaty, France will give me a ridiculous amount of money every week. This will of course damage their economy. In return, I promise that I won't be putting tariffs on luxury clothes. Basically, I'm stopping myself from making maybe about £100 a week from tariff revenue, and in return, France is going to give me 100 times that amount of money. Now that's glorious papal scamming. You might say this is bullying the French AI and that I should feel bad. And to those of you I say, I'm British. What else did you expect from me? Anyway, there's a fun economic opportunity happening over on the other side of the planet. Great Britain has decided to declare war on China. This is a fantastic thing because of course Britain will be winning this war. This is fantastic for us because when Britain does win this war, they're going to open up China for the world. They're also going to unban opium, which is very good for us. And so I'm proposing something special with China. I would like investment rights into their country. So I'm going to say, hey, I won't put any tariffs on any grains or sugar, and they're going to absolutely love that. We're gonna call this the classic Pope wants opium treaty. Perfect, let's send off the arrangement. Of course, they are going to accept because I gave them such a great offer. Yes, the Chinese AI, because it's such an agricultural economy, just wants to export wheat, and it values my decision not to embargo it very highly, which means, of course, they'll give me exactly what I want, unrestricted access into their country. So what does investment rights actually mean? Well, it means I can go into their nation here, and I can start physically building stuff. Rather than building a logging camp in Rome, I could build one in China, and then any profits that it generates are actually fed back into my country. That's quite useful indeed. Now, as our investment pool grows, they're going to invest that money into not just our own country, but also countries that we have investment deals with. This means our incredibly wealthy aristocrats living in Rome are going to be able to buy and own opium plantations in China, thus making us incredibly rich, without having to sully the hands of any of our lower classes. Oh no, our last pope is gone. We've got a brand new pope. It's Pope Luigi. Let's see what he's like. He's direct, he's a popular commander, and he's scarred. Very cool. Okay, so yes, Luigi here is going to be our brand new pope. He's a pretty cool guy. We can actually make him a general. That's right, he can be battle pope, the commander-in-chief of our military. Why not? There's no reason why we can't make that happen. But yes, the old pope is dead, in with the new pope, and he's about to usher in an age of glorious economic prosperity. Now, you might wonder what our next step is. Well, it is unfortunately a few years away. We're aiming to get one very important thing, a corporate charter. Companies have been in Victoria Free for a while, but this latest iteration of them actually makes them incredible. But before I can show it off, we have to research it. And in order to research quickly, well, we're going to need a slightly better educated population. I've been rapidly improving the literacy rate of Rome by building as many universities as possible. Normally, we of course wouldn't have the budget for this, but I'm not exactly playing a normal game. Anyway, I'll be back as soon as I've got my first company ready. Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just over a year out from being able to unlock my first company, but I've been doing a little bit of scouting around the map, and things have been going quite interestingly indeed. We actually caused a civil war in Piedmont. The nation was running out of so much money that around 300,000 people starved to death, and then they fought a civil war over it. Meanwhile, in Britain, there is an ongoing radical revolt, which is quite funny. I have no idea who's going to win that. The Ottoman Empire is currently being invaded by Russia, and I've just discovered that the United States is willing to do a very unique trade deal. I've discovered that they are willing to sell us Florida, provided I agree to be committed to child labor and censorship and pay them £3,000 per week. They're more than happy to give me the entire state of Florida, so why not? I like to see this as the Pope outright buying Disneyland, so there we go. What a great deal. And fantastic, Pope buys Disneyland has entered into force, so we now have the state of Florida. Oh my god, it's so stupid. Why would the Pope be able to buy Florida? What a timeline we live in. Okay, well that's fine. It just expands my borders a little bit more. So yeah, Florida's now a state of ours. Oh, and the British Radical Revolt now leads the British Empire. Okay, Britain is a republic. What the heck? The Queen is gone. Augustus Goldney is now the President of Britain. How unique. You know what? I think this calls for a treaty. How about you give me investment rights? I'll be willing to host a power block embassy of yours. Yes, that sounds good, doesn't it? And in return for this, I'm going to promise no tariffs on sugar. Yes, aren't I just so good? This is going to be the Pope buys Britain treaty. It's very good. So yes, we're going to get $5,000 a week, and for the cost of only 75 influence, we're going to now be able to build anywhere in the entirety of the British Empire. Now, the interesting thing is our GDP is now continuing to climb at a very tasty rate, and a lot of that is thanks to a massive concentration of, oh, here it is actually. Oh my goodness, yes, corporate charters are ready. This is fantastic. Okay, we are now able to establish an entire company. This is very cool. Companies can be used to do some very jazzy things, and in my case, I want to establish this company here, the Papal Metalworks Inc., a truly unique industry that can eventually produce precision tools. The problem is, in order to do it, I'm going to want at least 5 tool workshops in our capital city, so that's what I'm getting set up now. Okay, this is where the papal ascension to maximum godhood now begins. Ladies and gentlemen, we've finally built 5 tooling workshops in our capital. This now means we can establish a brand new company. It wants to be called Papal Metalworks Inc., but we're going to change that. This is going to be our brand new company of papal influence. But the reason we wanted this company set up is quite simple. This company is now able to make money, and with that money, it's able to invest it. We're going to grant our lovely papal influence company 2 huge bonuses: the ability to found new subsidiary HQs museums in different countries, and the ability to construct trade centers. So this company is now going to run around and spend some of the money it's making on brand new places. They're going to be able to reinvest a huge amount of their profits into our investment pool. And that investment pool currently is causing massive economical damages all around the world. If we take a look at what they've been up to, we've been massively privatizing buildings all around the world. This is fantastic because the more places we privatize, the more dividends come in for our lovely manor house. And the more dividends, the more money that goes back into the investment pool, which means more buildings get annexed. It's truly fantastic. Oh well, we've actually unlocked our second company slot already. Very useful indeed. And so we're going to set up our second company of Cross Builders Incorporated. They're entirely dedicated on logging camps and rubber plantations, which isn't exactly something that makes up a large amount of our economy. However, the buildings that we do have are currently making a lot of money, which means Cross Builders Incorporated is very rapidly making huge amounts of cash. I mean, look at this productivity chart. It's phenomenal. So already we can start seeing where our companies are expanding. The Papal Influence Company, our first corporation, has already expanded. They've purchased 2 trade centers in Nova Scotia, an arms industry in India, and 4 tooling workshops in the west country of Britain. This is a fantastic start, as with these 13 buildings that they own, they're going to start making more money, and the more money they make, the more buildings they can buy. Okay, now when we see our actual investment pool, we can see that yes, we've got 7.2 million lying around now. This is because our pool is growing as our nation gets wealthier, and that means that every once in a while, we have a massive investment where huge amounts of tea plantations, textile mills, opium farms all get privatized by our nation. Our good friend and the 2 Sicilies, well, they've been struggling with debt. I don't know where all of that debt came from. It suddenly had nothing to do with the fact that we're forcing them to pay us all of their entire economy every month, but I've decided to offer them something very nice. I'm going to take away all of their debt in return for the Abruzzo region here. Yes, what a generous popey gift I'm giving them. So bam, we'll send that off, and huzzah! Yes, we've just been handed this state. Lovely. The people here are struggling, but don't worry, we're going to make their lives oh so much better, as we're going to turn them into filthy capitalists. And here's the thing, because we paid off their debt, they're still not making any money, as they're still bound to the law of the Scam Treaty 1, which means they will once again go into debt, and when that happens, we will sweep in with our massive stacks of gold and buy up another bit of land from them. My Pope is literally RPing as a debt collection agency, and it's fantastic. So yes, things are going very, very well for us, but there is one thing I would like to nab. I want to steal something from Britain. They've one absolutely insane region in the form of West Bengal. It's the single greatest opium producing province in the entire game. The only problem is, in order to get it, I'm going to need a copious amount of influence that I don't have access to, but in a few years' time, West Bengal will be mine. Oh no, our previous Pope is dead. No. Okay, well now we have a new Pope, Pope Raphael Biladelli, and he's hated. He's really disliked, and he's only 29 years old. That's insanely young for a Pope. But he's also quite cruel, which means the general standard of living of our entire nation has just gone down. But this guy is terrible. I'm going to grant him command of the military, and hopefully he'll die, I guess. So in order to hopefully topple one of the European great powers, we're going to set up the Austrian Debt Farm Agreement. Yes, it's going to cost us more influence than we actually have, but it's going to mean Austria will pay us £10,000 per week. And I've just noticed the leader of Austria is looking particularly inbred today. My goodness, sir, you are beautiful. But hey, thank you for this treaty you're definitely going to accept. But hey, for the next 24 years, Austria is going to be giving us a lot of money. So with all of this extra money flooding in, I'm actually going to immediately expand even more of our construction sectors. This is an insane financial undertaking, but it is necessary in order to give us the greatest economy the world has ever seen. And our rate of construction is so fast that we can now build an entire brand new construction sector in only 1 month. That's a huge improvement over where we began. And yes, the cost will start climbing, but it's okay, for we're not the ones paying for it. Alright, we should now be hitting, yes, 100 construction speed. This is fantastic. This now means we can build multiple buildings all over the place. Right, now in order to actually grow our power base further, I want to become a world great power. The only problem is, in order to do that, you need prestige, and prestige comes with either having a huge military, large navy, or producing large quantities of fancy goods. One of the best ways to do that is to gain access to new lands. And sure, we could fight for them, but that causes infamy and makes people upset. Instead, the Pope here is going to be buying the entirety of Iceland off of Denmark for the cost of promising not to put tariffs on meat. And just like that, the Pope wants an ice bar treaty can come into effect. Cheers, Denmark. Huzzah! New territory. It's fantastic. You know, why stop there with Iceland when we can draft up immediately another treaty with Denmark, and this time we're going to ask for another bit of land. Let's go for Greenland. And so, just like that, we've managed to nab ourselves Greenland. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Denmark. This time we're going to be promising no tariffs on fabric, and in turn they're going to be paying us and giving us a bunch of goods as well as Greenland. Lovely. So the Green Card Treaty is now in effect. Fantastic. Ooh, our time has finally come. Whispers of Risorgimento, who knows? It's Italian. Basically, the Italian peoples are deciding, what if we decided to unify into one big Italian nation? And you know what? I think that's a pretty cool idea indeed. And I think Italy must be restored from oblivion. Yes. Okay, I finally managed to queue up around about 1,000 bureaucracy, which means we can now survey the actual Suez Canal. Fantastic. Yes, it does cost a ridiculous amount of bureaucracy, but that's a-okay with me, because this will eventually allow us to build the Suez Canal, which in turn will let us do some very magical things indeed. Oh, fantastic. The Suez survey has been completed. Lovely. We can now build the canal. Yes, this is it. The absolutely massive Suez Canal. Building it will immediately give us plus 100 prestige, and by building it we'll then become a major power, which is quite funny indeed because we're still definitely just the Pope on a tiny rock. Although I think it is going to take us quite a while to actually build the bad boy. How expensive is it? 5,000 construction. Oh, yeah, that's quite big. That's very big. Okay, right, the madness times are here. I have created a treaty with Britain. This is the Buying Bengal Treaty. It is utter madness, but basically Britain is going to transfer me the entirety of West Bengal, and in return I'm handing over a bunch of nonsense decisions, like saying I won't be buying or selling sugar on the international market. This is going to hand me probably the second highest GDP province in the entire game. Yes, and there it is. West Bengal is ridiculous. There are 21 million people living here. It would cost me 1,900 bureaucracy just to incorporate it, and over 3 million people that live here while they're currently starving. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yes, this place is genuinely madness, and the entire thing has just been purchased by us. How magical and wonderful indeed. Okay, and we're going to follow up our acquisition of Bengal with the Curian-Californian Treaty. Yes, that's right, we're going to quite simply buy the entire state of California from the United States. Why not? It's full of gold fields. Thanks, America. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's 1866, and I'm about to be taking the Sicily out of Sicily. That's right, we've got a brilliant trade deal here, which we've just proposed to Sicily, and yep, the reward is Sicily. Huzzah, it's now ours. Now, we don't really need the actual state of Sicily. It's not the best region. However, it does come with a very cool bonus, and that being that we have another little bit of Italian land, and most importantly, 1.3 million Italians live here. Those Italians will very likely now rapidly leave this area because it's not very good, and as a result, they're quite likely to migrate to the capital, which is perfect because that's exactly where we need more workers in the factory. Is the Suez Canal constructed? Yes, it is. Oh, and finally, the Suez Canal has now been constructed. This is brilliant. What a glorious day for us. This is going to boost up our national prestige, which is very nice and fancy. We're now ranked 10 in the world. Very cool and fantastic. I can finally form my next company. Lovely. This is going to be a very special one. Ooh, we could go for the gold mines, but no, I want the Suez Canal Company. Here we go. Let's establish it. Oh, wait, can I immediately establish them again? What? Okay, so I tried to form the Suez Canal Company, and then upon forming it, it just immediately disbanded itself, which is just great. That's just, yep, thanks video game. Okay, right, I've pushed this exploit even further beyond. This is where things get very ridiculous. We are attempting to buy Yorkshire. Yorkshire is an absolutely ridiculous state with over 4 million occupants and a GDP of 17 million. Acquiring this would be close to doubling our GDP, and in order to pull it off, I'm basically telling Great Britain that I won't be trading anything on the international market, and that's enough to hopefully get the Great Papal Gambit through. And yes, of course they're going to accept it. It doesn't matter that Britain is currently getting invaded, they're going to give me Yorkshire. Yes! Oh my goodness, look at it! Now I've just gained control of this ridiculous set of resources, and that's going to do some pretty hilarious things. For example, I now own these steel mills that are going to be producing Sheffield steel, the best kind of steel in the world. It's immediately elevated me to becoming the second greatest producer of steel in the world, and yes, I am now a great power. That's right, we've just jumped up the tables and become truly magnificent. Right, welcome to the year 1873. The world is, still in the chaotic chaotic state that I've left it in. Since the last time you've been here, I have now purchased most of New Zealand, and that is because New Zealand produces a copious amount of gold. We also have this little slice out of Russia, which also produces, yes, a ridiculous amount of gold, and so in total we are now the world's largest gold producer. Now I thought, seeing as we're starting to become incredibly powerful, it makes sense for us to form our own power block, a union of money makers, so to speak, and so I'm going to create a trade league. It wants to be called, the Supreme Alliance. I like that. We get to design ourselves a flag. I mean, I'm just going to go for quite possibly the most garish design imaginable. Oh yes, look at that. It's horrible. Perfect. Now, here we go. The Supreme Alliance is born. This is going to make all of the great powers ever so slightly hate me, but it's okay. Now, when it comes to the most valuable companies in the entire world, we hold second and fourth place with the wonderful Papal Influence and Cross Builders Incorporated, but catching up quite rapidly is the Northern Colombian Premium Gold Company. Okay, we definitely need to rename that. That's a terrible name. You shall now be I Love Gold. Yes, because I do love gold. The I Love Gold Company has just achieved maximum prosperity. Lovely. That means they're going to be getting extra loyalists from political movements. As you can see, we already own quite a few gold mines. We've even started buying out the gold mines that exist in America. Now is a special day for the Italians. After paying off Austria's debt that they owed to us anyway, we've managed to convince them to give us the region of Venice. We now hold enough Italian land to form the Italian kingdom, so we can finally push that button. Yes, let's go into the journal. We can form the Empire of Italy. Wabam, let's form Italy. Viva Italia, yes. This gives us claim on all of the other Italian lands we don't actually control yet, as well as an extra 20% prestige for 10 years. How incredible. Under the heroic leadership of Pope Raphael, the Italian nation has been birthed into the world. So this is very cool because it changes our color on the map to a nice limey green. However, our name will also change. We'll no longer be the Papal States, and our name changes to the Kingdom of Heaven. That's right, because we were the papacy and we formed it as a theocracy, this is the religious Kingdom of Heaven. And if there's one thing I know about the Kingdom of Heaven, it's that they love money. My goodness. With the Kingdom of Heaven now here, you might be wondering what on earth I'm actually working towards. The answer is simple. I want to make Rome into the greatest city in the universe, and that means we're going to need to actually cheese and exploit the game a bit more, as we're going to need even more people living in the city. Already we have 3,900 people moving into Rome each week, but we're going to need more. Now, the main statistic of success in this game is the standard of living graph, and if we take a look at the city of Rome, we can see that the standard of living currently on average is 20.5. This is ridiculous. It is basically twice the standard of living that the people expect to have, and it ever so slightly breaks the game, because if we take a look at the standard of living of everywhere else in the world, you'll notice that we're ever so slightly putting the rest of the world to shame. The only place beating us on standard of living appears to be Northern Norway. What is going on here? 29.7 standard of living? I'm sorry, what? It's because it's actually where there's a headquarters of our Papal Influence company, and they're making so much money that they're actually paying the Norwegians a good wage. That's quite funny. So yes, the only reason there's a good standard of living anywhere else in Europe is because, well, we put it there. Now, one thing that I have been doing to cheese the game slightly is manipulating the fact that I can get investment rights into pretty much any country for absolutely no cost at all. This has meant that I've decided to buy investment rights in Peru. Why in Peru? Well, it's because they had all of these gold mines lying around that they hadn't developed. So yes, I bought the rights to everything, and I've just decided to build a bunch of gold mines in their lands on their behalf. This way, sure, we're helping their economy, but most of the profits are being sent straight back into my pockets, and that's what I like to see. Anyway, back in our capital, I've managed to max out our construction sectors. Look at this. 271 construction is being produced by them. That is absolutely massive. Right, okay, I'm going to try and steal a huge portion of France here. I'm trying to nab the Carnatic region, which is this blue bit at the bottom of India. It's not because I actually really want this land. This isn't good land. It's not even very good GDP. The main reason is because there's 14 million people living here. And these 14 million people, well, they're really not going to want to live there for much longer. It's a terrible place to live, and instead they're going to redistribute their bodies all around the world, mostly into the mega city of Rome, which is already up to 6.8 million people living here. Also, I think it's time we actually change up our government a little bit. We've been a theocracy for a very long time, and that's done wonders for us, but I'd like to instead become a corporate state. Yep, that's right, we're going to turn the Kingdom of Heaven into just a mega business. Yes, yes, a huge mega corporation shall run this country. Because why not? What could possibly go wrong? And our government has changed. We're now a corporate state. Incredible. Okay, we've changed our name to Italy and we've whacked on the big bird on a flag. And, oh dear, we've become fascist. Well, the Pope has stopped being the Pope and has now become the president. I don't think popes can do that, but fine. My goodness, our GDP is incredible. Look at that insane GDP. 200 million. It's actually incredible. Fantastic. And our lovely Supreme Alliance is ready to upgrade its mandate. We have a few options here. We can add in some new principles. But the main thing I'm looking for is freedom of movement 2. This is an incredible upgrade, as it increases the chance that we get a mass migration event targeting one of our states. And in just 4 years' time, we're going to be able to finish this and get the level 3 freedom of movement, which is one of the most broken policies in this entire game. Now, one thing I've noticed about America is that thanks to an event, they've actually picked up all of these states from Britain, and they're yet to actually properly incorporate them into their nation, which means that they don't value them very highly. So I'm going to buy Oregon and Washington from America for a very low sum. In return, I'm going to promise no tariffs on wood, as well as a bunch of no subversions, and then I'm going to promise that I won't trade oil on the international market. I also won't trade wood or sulfur, there we go. And then we'll even throw in explosives as a final measure. Fantastic. So yes, for 5 years we'll agree to all of this and America will give me 2 of their states. Thank you very much, America. Huzzah. Oregon and Washington are now ours. Lovely. Okay, so our brand new law has just passed. Our population of Bengal is now able to migrate however they please. And so that's exactly what they're going to do. There are thousands and thousands of people fleeing here each week, and now they can move on over to the capital city of Italy, which is receiving more people than ever before. Perfect. And fantastic, our power block has received its next mandate. This means I can pick up my goal. This is a very special thing to unlock because it gives us a new work mode for universities. All of our universities and arts academies give us a plus 20% migration attraction, meaning that in our capital city, our migration attraction should now be the highest it's ever been. Yes, we're at 151 migration attraction. This is the place to live. And there we go, we finally got our final research. Macroeconomics has been discovered, and that means we get +1 extra company. That's right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 companies in total, and we can now have our 7th. This is madness. Yeah, we're definitely not meant to have access to this many, but hey, it's not stopped me. So we're going to set up the United Fabric Producers Corporation. This will own all of our livestock ranches and cotton plantations, and most importantly, will have its headquarters based in our capital city, meaning it should generate a copious amount of money. And so yes, very rapidly we're starting to see that this company is buying up huge amounts of land all over the world. Okay, seeing as I'm now basically the largest economy in the world, I've decided to see if I can destroy the world, because, you know, that's exactly what our evil, totally not a Pope president would do. So I'm going to initiate in a little bit of aggressive diplomacy by attempting to bankrupt America. I'm going to be setting up multiple proposals, which they're definitely going to accept, and in those proposals they're going to be giving me £10,000 each. Seems pretty good to me. So yes, we're just going to set up yet another one of these incredible deals, and each time we do this, the American government will start running out of more and more money, hopefully leading to a total civil war, as that would be good fun for me. Okay, and so I've just sent off our 4th little treaty to bankrupt America. In total, they're going to be giving us £35,000 every week for the next 25 years, and it costs us absolutely nothing. The consequence of these actions are completely meaningless to me. However, the wealth it will generate to me will be truly incredible. Oh no, we've got a new leader. Oh, General Raphael has now retired, meaning we have a new head of our nation. It's Ippolito Somista. I would never going to be able to pronounce his name. He's some guy from northern Italy. Right, it took a long time, ladies and gentlemen, but finally the United States of America has split into multiple states. What ended up happening was basically the US went bankrupt, slightly crazy, and tried to invade someone, and then consequently lost the war because they had no money. But when it comes to Rome, just look at this province. It is basically filled with exclusively buildings. We've run out of space in the city, we're now building them on top of the mountains. There are 15 million people living here now. In total, we gain around about 15,000 population a week. It's a true multicultural hub, and most importantly, the GDP value here is insane. £83 million worth of GDP. This is by far the single most prosperous province in the entire game, and it doesn't even come close. Actually, you know, it shouldn't be Lazio. We should rename it. It instead shall be Spifftopia. Yes, perfect. And this port town shall be renamed to something very subtle. Perfect. Our people are so wealthy that they own most of the known world. The financial districts in our capital alone own 746 buildings. We've achieved the world's highest GDP imaginable, and it's safe to say that we are completely untouchable. Now, seeing as we've achieved all of our goals today, ladies and gentlemen, you might be thinking that, well, this is the end of the video, and you would be right. However, I've actually been deliberately holding myself back, and I think now is probably the best time to show the pinnacle of this exploit. For you see, we didn't just make Austria bankrupt over the course of decades to mess with them. No, we did it so that we could ruin their nation. As this game has a glorious exploit, the developers forgot to make the AI actually value land in treaties. What I can do is go over to this Austrian child here and say, hey, I'm willing to take on your debt. I'm also willing to give you some money which you desperately need. Look at this, £8,000 a week, aren't I generous? And now because of that, Austria thinks I'm giving them a great deal. I mean, they're so financially bankrupt they have to take this offer. There's just one minor problem. They're willing to accept this trade deal, and so the game is 100% certain that when I push this button, they'll accept the deal. There's just one slight problem. I can adjust the deal quite a bit. I'm going to add in all of these various states that I either border or that Austria has on the coastline. So there we go, I've added in a huge amount of states, and Austria is definitely not going to take it. They will reject this treaty. Look, the game says so, but I'm just gonna send it off just in case. I mean, after all, we did bankrupt them. They have no money. These lands are currently in extreme turmoil because the people of Austria are suffering. So yeah, I'm just gonna send off that trade deal, and oh, they accepted. Oh dear. Let's see if England would like to trade. So I've gone up to England here and I've said, hey, you can have Yorkshire back and a bunch of other stuff as well, and they really think that this is a great deal. In fact, they think it's such a good deal that they're going to give me everything else in the British Empire. Yep, that's right, we're going through this incredibly long list here, and we're going to take it all. And there we go. This is a deal the AI is never going to take. It is a negative 59,000 opinion deal. Right, and so I've sent off that treaty, and hopefully Britain will accept it. And yes, they did. There we go. So Britain has just handed me almost all of their land. We now own most of India. Our population will, of course, go up quite a bit, and our GDP will actually rise quite nicely. Whereas if we check out the British Republic's GDP, yeah, that's kind of a line going down. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you push this exploit to the extreme and how you really break the game. And my goodness, we've created Super Germany. As it turns out, stealing Austria from Austria is enough to make the Prussians take control. Well, I suppose that makes complete sense. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What a perfectly balanced video gaming experience. Using this exploit, it's completely viable to do a world conquest as the tiny island of Jan Mayen. And maybe that's something I should do in a future video. Anyway, if you enjoyed watching, make sure to give this video a like, and why not consider subscribing? We'd love to have you in our community. Of course, a huge thank you to our lovely and majestic YouTube channel members and Patreons for making this all the more possible. If you're sat there wondering what video to watch next, look no further than this video on screen now. I think you're gonna love it. Anyway, I'll see each and every one of you in the next one. Have a great day, and goodbye for now.